been a bit of a thorn in the side of many drafts because it feels like you have to ban this on red side. We did, however, see in LGD versus JDG yesterday, the first pick Milio get punished because they picked what LGD managed to do to take their game off of JDG. Of course, you know, dominant titans of the LPL and then winning MSI, is they picked the Blitzcrank into it and they picked an anti-Milio comp. This is not going to be the same kind of approach though. It's going to be the Zyra Khan on 1-2.
Yeah, so perhaps feeling like they can find a strong 2v2 that can fight up against the Milio. I don't know how well that will work. Milio, you can go with like a scaling carry, like Cogmore, this kind of thing can work with him, or can work very well with Lucian as well. We've seen how dominant Lucian Nami is well. Lucian Milio can work too, but looks like they will go for the scaling route.
So, Aphelios is very much, it feels like Aphelios has kind of this twofold identity. One where he can throw an ult forwards and kind of join these big fights with the Gale Force and a lot of his kind of utility weapons. It's kind of like an aggressive character, but can also be awesome at standing and fighting with chakrams or whatever else you have. When you have the Cozy Campfire to increase your attack range, Aphelios didn't need that already, but it makes him just this absolute bastion which you have to try and get through. Now going forwards, even with stuff like the Rakan and the Annie, if the Milio is good and gets a good cleanse onto the Aphelios, that stand and fight potential just goes through the roof.
Oh, it certainly does. It certainly does. Annie, at least, will be one of the champions that can try and shut that down, right? The Tibbers slams down the CC chain, and damage can be enough to get through an Aphelios, so long as the rest of the team has follow-up. But alongside the Rakan, you can certainly see the direction that this composition is going for AL in terms of all-in. Kindred being banned away from Xiaohao here. I've got to say, I was not anticipating a Kindred ban.
Yeah, me neither. I guess when you have the very hard CC mid of the Annie, it helps you play towards more of a carry role in that jungle. Annie halfway between that burst threat and just a setup champion as well. I'm a little surprised that you're banning it away when you're playing such an aggressive pick champion in mid lane like Ahri, who can pick off these squishier junglers to pretty high proficiency. But maybe you're thinking, look, we're not going to have the Vi, not going to have the Wukong, two of the better combos with the Ahri to help reach that target if you're trying to pick them off. Let's not give a carry threat over if we don't think we can cleanly shut them down from mid jungle.
I have to ask, Nymeara, am I missing something? Because
yeah,
AL banned Wukong. I feel like Wukong fits their comp literally perfectly. I feel like Wukong is the jungler for their comp. They have pick now. Like,
that's a good point. Because I was viewing it as a sense of they're banning away two champions which fit very well with the Ahri, but I mean, you have that fourth pick. You could have just locked away that for yourself. They're hovering over junglers anyway, unless they had a specific jungler in mind. That would be one of them. You have to imagine maybe that would have been better as a takeaway spot rather than just banning it away. But instead, they're going to lock in that Viego. So it's going to be a bit more damage threat, I suppose, when you have the Annie and the Viego. The ability to individually burst down a target and have Viego absolutely monster a team fight with their resets. You can have a reset on either side now, of course, with the Ahri versus the Viego. I can understand the logic of that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can understand the logic of the Viego. Poppy going to be locked in. I'm assuming that's for Shadow in the jungle with the Gnar being hovered here. So going to deny a lot of that movement. It's great versus Rakan. It's good versus Viego as well. And then the Jace being hovered could go up to the top side for ZDZ here.
Jace would be very
top
risky.
laner, that would be exciting to see. Try and punish the Gnar from Invincible.
Yeah, if that was locked in, I'd have to very quickly look up a lot of those builds being put around because Gangplank has always been a very versatile champion with it, and it is locked in. Now, not gonna lie, folks, I have not seen much Gangplank on this patch. I would imagine there's going to be a Triforce involved in there somewhere. Very powerful item. If you can build that item, it's almost always worth building it. But now, I feel like Shadow has a very, very important early game to play out. You have to be able to, one, answer Xiaohao, but also get into one of these lanes, either onto this Annie or onto this Gangplank, and get kills and flashes away early to make sure that your top side of the map can start fighting. Because there's a lot of damage from AL, and if they manage to escape up until level 6, I really feel like NIP can struggle.
So I've just had a little look at the stats. This is the first professional Gangplank game of the split. Aside from one game in the GLL, which I believe is the Greek League.
Oh, I know who that would have been. That would have been, was that Acidy who played that, ACD?
It was
He's a
not.
huge
It was
Gangplank.
Sky Sunday. Sky
Oh,
Sunday.
okay, right. They actually have a load of GP mains randomly in that one ERL.
Yeah, it's a first strike angle, and it's the Essence Reeve and Devori Quick Blades, the kind of one-shot style where you're slamming out barrels and slamming out damage. Invincible going to have his work cut out. He locked in the Gnar in game number 1. That was against a Scion. This time, ZDZ bringing a bit of fire to that top lane with the Gangplank. We'll see if he can carry this one. We don't get many carry top laner games here in the LPL at the minute, and I'm excited to see what ZDZ can do with his hands on Gangplank.
Gangplank, if you manage to have a safe laning phase and you manage to escape those first few levels and don't get your flash blown, don't die, is such a menace. Heck, even if you do die multiple times early game, if the game extends long enough, we all know what a fed Gangplank can do. That'll be what AL would like to have in the back pocket to see if they can bring this to a game 3.
So here we go into the game. It's kind of an interesting draft, honestly, from anyone's legend, considering the fact that they went for the Xayah Rakan so early, and now we finish off with Viego and Gangplank in the top side. Not something I think many people at home would have been expecting today. On the side of NIP, relatively standard. Obviously, the Poppy coming on through as an answer to that Rakan, as an answer to Xiaohao's Viego as well. I don't think the most value I've seen in a Poppy pick, but I think you're pretty much just picking that for the Rakan, right?
I think you're picking it for your first 3 levels and your first 2 clears. I don't necessarily think it's great as the game goes on if you don't find that lead. As you said, the actual kind of anti-dash synergy is not completely there, but you do have the ability to find some very strong gank angles as the game really starts off. So Shadow, watch his initial pathing. Let's see how well he can do in getting into those early lanes. He's getting spotted right from the off, though. Yeah,
the ward coming down, but I do think Poppy, one of those champions that can very comfortably go for the Raptor start. So you kind of expect that the Poppy is going to go for that Raptor start, even if you don't have the ward there. But the ward comes down from Harder. We'll spot him out. So both junglers playing with full information. Looking towards ZDZ, though. Playing the Gangplank, trying to use that passive. Almost walks under tower there, but does manage to get that burn off. Gets back into the brush. Corrupting Potion ticking away as well. And I will say, ZDZ, if he can play this well, if he can get himself a lead, that's a real squishy enemy team.
It is. Now, you're pretty squishy yourself, and if you do get, Poppy and Ari getting onto your kind of laners very, very quickly, they can very much burst down that Gangplank. Gangplank can be dove as the game goes on. So ZDZ is going to have to play a pretty mistake-free game. Xiaohao also has early pressure on this Viego, though potentially can set up with a stun from this mid lane. Harder does have a Molten Shield, will have stun now.
Goes forward. Angel knows what's going on here. Sees the mist coming on through, and Harder will just have to clear this wave and crash that one in. Although the next wave is arriving, and I'm not sure he'll actually be able to crash that. As ZDZ, perhaps a little out of practice, as he misses his barrel combo. I think that was his first 2-barrel combo of the game as well. So I do wonder how much time ZDZ's been putting into this champion, or whether that was just, it's the very start of the game. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
I'd say, I try not to reference my own games because I haven't been good at League of Legends for a little while. But I just took a break from League. I was on holiday, and I played my first games back the other day. And it is so weird, even when you've played a champion which you know really, really well and you go back to it, if you've taken a couple of months off, the first couple of levels in your first game, they get a bit sketchy.
They certainly do. That said, I'm hoping ZDZ hasn't been taking time off before this professional match.
Okay, might have been taking a holiday from Gangplank specifically, because we haven't seen that one for a while.
Oh, yeah. We'll see how he does. Photic, though, in the meantime, being dived alongside Zhuo. Great little knockback from Zhuo, and Zorah misses the knock-up. It's a disaster from AL. And Photic now chasing down iBoy. Gravitum is there. iBoy low on HP, doesn't find the route himself. And Photic double Gravitum in. That's a heal come out from iBoy. Forced to flash as well. Zorah now next target, and here comes Shadow. iBoy no sums, gets splashed on Zorah over the wall, Xiaohao over the wall. Every summoner under the sun popped by AL. And Shadow wants a little bit more.
Photic and Zhuo just destroyed a 2v3. Shadow picks up a kill from that too. What were we saying? We wanted to see Shadow with some early pressure, getting an early lead to keep ahead of the curve on this Poppy pick as well. He's handed that on a complete silver platter by this Aphelios Milio ridiculous combo.
Absolutely phenomenal stuff coming out. And like, this should have been a pretty clean dive. I like the idea of diving the Milio, but in execution, it's disastrous.
So, how does Zorah pick a backer hit? He autos after the W misses. And as soon as that happens, I think you realize that the HP bars are just not there from AL to make anything work. Xiaohao loses the red buff some point as well, doesn't have that for the rest of that trade. And really good awareness from Photic and Zhuo to really make the most out of that situation.
I have to wonder if Shadow's E was on cooldown there, because iBoy had no sums. I'm not sure Shadow needed to flash, but perhaps had used his E on like a mid lane minion or something to get to the play, you know, like using it just to try and get there as fast as possible. So having to flash for the kill. It is going to be 3 flashes on the side of AL though, for just 1 flash on the side of NIP. I think they'll take that trade.
Yeah, absolutely. And now when you have the Aphelios and the Milio, who are already pretty insufferable from an even state in the game, having them ahead, having themselves a couple of assists, that's going to be even worse to play against. Invincible has 6 here, could potentially ult.
Possible, going for ZDZ, forced to flash away here, and still just being absolutely beaten down by Invincible. But ZDZ not running. Why are you running into the wall?
I don't know. There are some things it's better off not knowing. Angel gets involved on the bot side of the map as well. Picks up the Dark Seal first item, immediately gets a kill. Wonderful stuff from the Snowball play on the Ahri in the mid lane too.
Look, I've just had a look through the match history for ZDZ. And
yeah.
He's been playing a lot of League of Legends recently. None of it's on Gangplank.
So not taking the holiday from that.
He has 1 Gangplank game on the 31st, which is, you know, a week ago. Now, I don't know what he's been doing in scrims or anything like that. Maybe he's got multiple accounts. Who knows? But right now, the Gangplank not looking fantastic. But that was not a Gangplank issue. I don't really know what was going through the man's mind there. I feel like he could have just walked away.
It's a difficult situation, right? Because you are the level down already, you're level 6 to level 5, you know the extra CC's available. If you flash away and you trade flash for flash, I would imagine we're going to see this now, okay? So ZDZ, I think he's at a point where he doesn't know what's happening with the wave and he wants to shove that in. I think that's a very difficult point. I think if he manages to get a barrel onto the back minions, even then he doesn't kill them. It's just a bit of a misread and he's getting caught out again. ZDZ, buddy, what's happening?
Yeah, ZDZ is having a bit of an apple crumble this game. Oh, the slow doesn't land. Shadow, he's Invincible gets himself second kill. Yeah.
So what we've seen now is actually he's renamed in-game. You see that, like the D in ZDZ? That's another Z now because he's being put to sleep in this top lane. He's just completely sleepwalking into this lane. ZZZ, basically 2 bad wave states in a row, tries to fight and push in that wave and gets punished for it.
And you have to wonder what's happening internally on anyone's legend right now. Like, it doesn't seem like spirits are high if this kind of stuff is going on in the top side, and the dive went so disastrously in the bottom lane as well. I feel like bad news bears for anyone's legend to start this one off. But hey, at least we get a bit of early action. We certainly didn't in game number 1, so good to see that at least. There was a Drake picked up by anyone's legend while all of that went on. So Xiaohao at least finding his team an objective, but it's 2,000 gold lead here at the 8-minute mark. And a fantastic start for NIP. As Angel just going to receive a Tibbers. Xiaohao not quite close enough to ult in onto the play as well, though.
So Angel has Merc Tread, so at least does manage to get out of that CC, has the Corrupting Pot to keep himself healthy as well. So what you'll see with Annie is they'll often drop those hard trades to just get the most out of a first strike proc, and then also stop their opponent from roaming as well. Angel has the Spellbook, switched over to the Ignite, can't use that to now teleport back onto the map, so has to kind of sit back in lane. It means that they're not available for something. Angel.
Ooh, that's a great charm. Harders underneath the tower. Tibbers on cooldown here as Ignite comes down. Angel still has 1 more proc. Over Deception out. And flashes for it. Harder taken down as Angel finds himself a solo kill. Tibbers is real angry, but he won't find the kill.
That was super slick from Angel. One of these things you can do on the Ahri is try and get a charm under the tower after you've killed the minions. Throw out a Q and then charm them back into tower. Manages to get harder to take just that 1 tower shot afterwards. Had that Ignite like we were talking about. And then at the end, it did one of these rarely seen mechanics because a lot of the time you don't need it. But if you ult as Ahri and then you flash before your ult lands, you can extend the range of it and get the damage to go through. Just about gets the kill pressure, walks away with even more Dark Seal stacks.
Certainly does. Great route from iBoy there as Photic tries to go aggressive and just gets denied. 2v2 looking a little better from iBoy and Zorah, despite the 0-2 scoreline there for iBoy. A lot of that not really down to the actual 2v2 itself. And wow, what a game so far. What a game. NIP solo leaders feeling good with how this one's going. And the same for Shadow. You said we need to see a lead on the Poppy early on. Well, we're definitely getting that.
Yeah, so low health minions under tower, you absolutely cannot take them for granted. Because, of course, Ari has pretty good instant wave clear. Makes sure that the Ignite plus tower shot is enough for this kill. As you can see here, one of the things you can do, ult, you flash before the ult lands, follows up with the auto. Extra Spirit Rush does manage to get that damage down. And now this Snowball on the Ari, talked about Angel being one of the better Snowball Ari players in the league. It's very much off to the races. Harder looking to make something happen towards bot side, though, potentially.
Shadow could be the target. Harder's over here, as is Xiaohao. That Tibbers was not ideal. Gravitum going to come through. Featherstorm going to be forced out from iBoy, but the Feathers won't really find a target. Photic just walks at him. Only a couple of them landing in the end. Does get the root to keep himself alive, but now Herald going to be slammed down in the bottom side. This might even be 3 plates off the back of it. If Photic can get some hits in. Harder's here, though. The whole team's still sticking around for AL. They will protect the tower, at least for the time being, but Angel's over the wall, looking for a bit of damage, a bit of poke. I feel like AL, they look like they're trying to make a play, but actually they've been corralled into this bottom side. They're not allowed to leave.
Oh, as soon as that Tibbers goes down, you just got to feel for Harder because you don't have your stun at that point. You don't have the ability to impact that fight. And particularly since Angel was just about to get that ult back up, switched over to the Ghost, and has a stopwatch, NIP look at that and they say, well, we can do whatever now. The Herald then gets so much gold over to Photic's. Aphelios once again, need we remind you what he did on that champion in game 1. NIP, we were just talking about that first game being a bit slower in the early game. NIP really turning up the pressure well early.
They certainly are. And Angel, no fear in this man's eyes as he just pushes as hard as possible.
He's
There's
on a
2 of them
mission
in that
from
mid
God.
lane. He certainly is. As just standing basically underneath the tower. Zorah here just to try and help Harder push the wave. And Angel's still fishing for charms.
I think he's absolutely free to do so, particularly since Harder doesn't have the highest early damage right now, has cooldown boots, that alternator is all you've got. Angel going to be first on the roam again. They see Harder on the ward.
Oh no, the charm is a bit of a whiff. No. Went the wrong way, predicted the dodge, but the dodge never came. And unfortunately, the play won't land for anything here from Angel, but still sets up for this Drake. Although, doesn't look like they're looking for the Drake. Okay, just dropping a ward first. Now can go for that Drake. Oh, the charm so close to denying that recall.
Yeah, not going to be able to stop that one, though. Does mean that Tibbers is back available. Shadow gets the wall stun.
Goes straight on forwards onto this Viego. That's half a Xiaohao's health already, and Shadow not even been touched in return. Photic, oh, he's got red and white guns. AL, I don't think you take this fight. You're 4K down, and you're against the red and white Aphelios. Now is the time to leave.
And so it is. Xiaohao at least managed to save his ult for that play. Thought it might get a little bit awkward, but does manage to at least get away with his Heartbreaker intact. AL, though, I mean, what do they do at this point, right? You're getting absolutely rammed in this top lane matchup. Those kills going over to the Gnar. It means that ZDZ is just bleeding out plates and CS towards his top side. You don't have your playmaking opportunities towards the spot side either. Shadow is running across the map still. iBoy potentially going to have his flash or his ult blown. Zhuo's coming in.
Yeah, Shadow just going to get a bit of damage down, but with the Cozy Campfire, it's essentially a free trade. And now Photic with red and white solo time on a tower. This will be the first tower of the game taken. Great focus from Shadow on setting this bottom lane up, getting Photic ahead, despite the pressure that Xiaohao and Harder have tried to put on that bottom lane. Invincible might be caught out on the top side. Flash for the stun. The Tibbers is there. Invincible going the wrong way on the map as well, and will be taken down. Xiaohao takes the kill. I feel like you could have let ZDZ's ult finish that.
With the ultimate coming up so soon from Invincible, maybe the extra HP coming through from Mega Gnar potentially could have made things a bit awkward on that front. But I mean, AL, to be honest, I don't think they have the luxury of being able to choose that much in this game.
No.
They use so many ultimates to get that one across. ZDZ at least gets his first item from the assist gold coming through, but NIP, they lose 1 kill, but that's so little in the grand scheme of things.
It really is. It feels Feels like a tough one, honestly, for AL. As Photic now pressuring in the mid lane, he's able to just rotate over and start to transition.
Ow, Storm Razor hurts so
Storm
much,
Razor
man.
is an item in the game of League of Legends, by the way.
Remember when everyone built that first item in Season 8 and we decided never to do that again? It's happening again, folks.
We obviously didn't decide to never do that again, because here we are. Yeah, Angel now pressuring at the top side as well. This is the thing. The Gangplank pick was meant to mean that AL had a carry to play through, right? In theory. And the Zyra Khan, I feel like, was designed there to try and take on this Milio in the lane, but I feel like it's just 3 winning lanes in favor of NIP at this point.
It's quickly become that, particularly since that failed dive in bot side meant that Photic and Zhuo could really get the most out of that occasion. AL, they're really scrabbling at the dirt to try and find some kind of escape from this situation. It's a very difficult situation to be in. They don't have the Gangplank ult up and available for another couple of minutes either. It's a very long cooldown at first rank.
I love how fearless Photic is. You see the Viego mist come out, and most AD carries back away there. Photic is like, look, I've got a Milio with me, I'm on a Felios, I've got Infernum. Bring it on! I will happily take this battle. As Angel now pressuring a tier 2 in the top side, as the Herald gets its charge down in the mid lane, and Photic can continue that push, although iBoy's making a play, and here comes Zorah as well. They don't find the kill, they don't find the moment. Shadow actually going underneath the tower. Everfrost from Angel, a good charm as well. But a stopwatch from Zorah keeps himself alive. TP coming through as Harder is behind, but misses his stun with the Incinerate.
One more charge.
Wants it. The charm actually lands. An Invincible here to follow up with a long-range damage. But can they finish the job? Tibbers to buy space. Calibrum dodged by Harder. And AL walk away with their lives, but it feels dicey.
It's hard won though at that point, and all they're winning is a net even play. Harder even has to blow the Tibbers at the end of that fight. It is going from bad to worse. And to add context to it, this is all happening within AL's, like, in a turret, within their side of the map. They're not even across the other side of the river. Like, AL, they're having to get to this point where they're trying to find even plays with all of their ultimates invested.
And you have to... I feel like this is the kind of series where we're trying to calibrate expectations. I'll come back to this point, as it was a good engage to start with, but the knockback from Zhuo ruins Zorah.
It does, and also, I mean, you have the ultimate coming in from Milio as well, so that's the cleanse coming through. The cleanse and the heal means that this stand and fight a Felios type champion, you can sit there and stand and fight, you know what? Now we're coming back onto the map. I love this from Angel. I've been a big proponent of this for a very long time. Second item Medjais in Snowball games are incredibly effective. Angel has an exhaust, has Merc Treads, has Flash. Angel's at a point where even if he picks up a couple of assists from the next fight, this game was already going badly for anyone's Legend. If you get to the point where a load of stacks gets onto that book from Angel in that mid lane, no one gets to survive on your team. You're a very squishy team.
Shadow is literally going between the towers to attack ZDZ, put pressure on, and set up this mid lane tower for takedown. NIP are snowballing so hard in this game that I feel like my expectations coming into this one was two teams that really need to prove themselves, that are looking towards the bottom end of the table, that maybe not the greatest teams in the league. NIP looking like they're smurfing in this one against anyone's Legend. iBoy will be taken down in classic iBoy fashion. And NIP will get themselves a second Drake after taking 2 tier 2s. It's only 18 minutes into the game. NIP, this looks like a top team just destroying a bottom team.
Oh, they're absolutely cruising over this game. Could have maybe given the kills over for the extra 2 stacks on that Medjais there, but Photic says, no, I need to get myself in that kill column as well. 1-0 and 2 on the Aphelios. The other 2 assists coming from the dive, actually, earlier in the game. The failed one, which they managed to turn around. And this is what happened across the last kind of phase of things. I mean, AL, they don't have any vision in their own jungle. They can't see their own walls getting taken. iBoy is trying to get a wave pushed in somewhere, but you can't go alone like this. You don't have the tools to do so. It's a massive overpush.
I just love that Photic is like, we can pick iBoy, but let me get this wolf first.
Yeah.
Finishes the wolf before going for the play.
Priorities are in order there.
A true AD carry mentality. Zorah has to try and base check Zhuo target, but real follow-up as Shadow's there protecting his support.
Ooh.
Goes wide.
And now we're at a point now where at least AL are managing to group up, stand on this mid wave, and get a wave push. When you have zero vision, this is pretty much your last resort, and it often comes a little earlier that way. You can at least sit on your minions in mid wave and force the enemy team to come to you. You haven't been able to force Invincible out of that side lane. That was the issue in game 1 as well. In AL, they don't have the Nico minion tricks this time to find themselves these miracle engages. They have themselves very few options remaining. They have to hope for a misstep from NIP and over-engage where maybe harder on this Annie can get something working.
And the W denies the engage from Xiaohao. There's the follow for the rest of the team! Where did Xiaohao go? What a combo from NIP. Beautifully played there. And turns out the misstep coming out from AL rather than NIP. And now Baron is on the map, and if the jungler picked off, it's free pickings.
Yeah, Act 2 once again, 20 minutes past, Baron on the table, and the first mistake beyond that 20-minute mark is weighing that much harder. Harder has that flash, using the extended blast cone to get into a better angle. Can he get here in time?
Baron on 3k, flashes in. Tibbers doesn't really do much, and Harder pretty much just dies in the Baron pit. Photic getting the kill as Zhuo was tanking Baron for a bit there. Angel wants a little bit more onto Zorah, but is all on cooldown at this point. Zorah will be able to get out with his life, I think. The flash charm Eye Boy, but Featherstorm, good reactions there. But ZDZ will have to be the sacrificial lamb here, or will he? Trying to escape, but will not be able to get anywhere. And Angel
sees him.
He doesn't want to let them recall here. He's trying to find a moment. Everfrost comes
Oh, he
on
empowered
through.
recalls!
They actually both got out!
It's a Zyra special recall. Because one of them started before the other, manages to tag onto that, both of them get out alive. They're not going to, of course, be able to stop this Baron push coming through, but at least they managed to get themselves away with their lives. But that's been the story the entire game. AL fighting tooth and nail to just get away with their lives. Harder is in by himself again. And this is something that we picked up from the first game as well. Individually, okay play, gets a multi-man stun, but it's nowhere near to the rest of his team. The Gangplank ult very much helps as well in regards to trying to disengage that Baron. Doesn't stop it going down at the end of the day, though, and they lose some members on the retreat.
You can see... Oh, iBoys died in the live version of the game here as the charm goes wide, and Zorah chased out by Shadow. You could see the idea, right? You could see the idea from AL where Harder goes in, the Gangplank ult is there, and you can see Zorah trying to make his way over as well, but he was slowed by Invincible as Shadow does get knocked up. Zorah...
No one on NIP is coming, by the way. It's literally just Shadow chasing down the support. Everyone else is pushing mid-wave. They don't care to kill the Rakan.
I feel like at this point, though, is this actually positive for NIP? Like, I feel like Shadow being with the team as the kind of the front line for this squad maybe would be more valuable. But I guess when you're this strong, you got Baron.
Angle here.
Doesn't really
actually
matter.
Coming up behind them.
Wait
guys, you know Zorah's here, right? He's ulting.
Here we go, onto Photic, but he cleanses and he flashes and he just kills Zorah instead!
Oh, no.
He just one-shots the guy, and it's a great little gnaw from Invincible as well. ZDZ next to full. I was excited for the Gangplank pick, but it has been disastrous this game.
I think Invincible was excited for that one too. Really, really wrecking that lane.
Yeah, This was nothing like game number 1. This was brutal. This was... I don't know. AL going to be going back to the drawing board off of this one and wondering what went wrong, to be honest. But NIP looking fantastic. This early game was absolutely beautiful from them, punishing every single misstep. And the snowball was quick and decisive, right? Didn't give them a moment to breathe.
Really want to hone in on that as well, because part of that snowball came from, once again, on Angel. That Ahri was banned away first round bans in game 1. And with that second game, you can really understand why. I don't often say this. I'm a big fan of how Angel builds Ahri. He's throwing out some different items in there. He had a Lichbane game the other day as well. He's a Medjai's builder, which I've always been a big proponent of. Sitting on early stopwatches, which save you gold instead of building up into the full Zhonyas. It's the small things like this, and this happens across the team as well. And you can see that